my name is Nicholas Laboucan. I'm the owner of UWF Collective, which is Until We're Free. I started the business because I needed to create like a community for Indigenous people. And growing up, there was never a lot for Indigenous people. And so grade 10, my first year of high school, I wrote a story and it was about my life goals and what I wanted to do in the end. And I had this idea of starting like something to do with Indigenous. It was called FNAA, First Nations Athletic Association, where I wanted to create a power for Indigenous athletes to come together and be able to find something to do. I had that mindset in grade 10, and then grade 12, I just forgot about it. And then my first year at university, I actually was like, you know what? I need to start something. I need to do it now. And so I always had my roommate, and I would always just bounce these ideas off him. I had a couple of times to do it. And then it came to September where I actually was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And so during the isolation, the first year of COVID, when COVID-19 hit, I had all that time in the world. Classes were canceled, everything else was online, so it was pretty easy. So I put myself into a business plan. And that's when I created UWF Collective, Until We're Free. And what essentially Until We're Free is the Indigenous community not being free. We're held by the past of our ancestors in the residential schools that happened and everything that happened from 1876 and on. And there's a lot of intergenerational trauma that's happened about it, and a lot of people don't understand that. And so being First Nation, I've always had these racial slurs, everything else growing up in a small town. And it really spoke to me because I knew that this was a baseline that I needed to touch in, because I grew up having to change my ways. And I changed my ways through style, I changed my ways through the way I presented myself and the way I talked. And those are things that I had to do in order to fit with normal society. And so that is what I want to do, is I want to be able to empower Indigenous people, because I broke barriers. I had to grow up with non-Indigenous people. I didn't have any community members around me. And even through hockey, I was never on an all-Indigenous team. I was the only Indigenous person. With all the connections that I've made in my life, I knew that I could help other people that are stuck and confined off the reserve. And so that's where UWF is able to give Indigenous people an outlet. An outlet like any entrepreneur, they don't know where to start. And I didn't know where to start. And so I created this company so that we could help any Indigenous person to help start their entrepreneurship. And whatever it is, whether it's photography, modeling, videography, graphic design, we just want to give them that outlet, teach them how to actually go about it. And so with UWF, we're actually hosting a modeling campaign where we select 3 Indigenous people to be selected and get photographed professionally, makeup done professionally, and get them their portfolios needed to be able to send out to modeling agencies. And that is a stepping stone that I feel that we could create and give people an outlet, because a lot of people don't know how to be a model and how to go about it and how to get it. And if it comes out quite expensive. So that is where we are creating a urge to help Indigenous people rise again and stand tall for our ancestors who couldn't. So I started UWF. My release date was August 18th of 2020. And so we grew into, I think, 1,500 followers on Instagram and I think 600 on Facebook. And there's a broader audience that I wanted to reach. The reason being is I always get messages, emails, DMs from non-Indigenous people asking if it's okay to wear my clothing. And the answer is always yes, it's amazing. It just shows that you stand with us and it shows support. And so with that being said, I actually reached out to one of my buddies. He's opening up his own marketing agency. And I hired him on to expand the growth and actually get more of the message out. Because being one person, being able to type it, having to post consistently, that actually gets barren, because this isn't the only thing that I do. And it's, university, I'm still in my 4th year, so it's always consistently having to be like this. And as much as I want to get the message out, it's actually, with the marketing agency, hopefully we can reach a broader audience and then start getting these proposals out to be able to get our models in, the attraction, everything else. So whether it was my graphic designer, Indigenous, marketing team, Indigenous, photographer, Indigenous, models, Indigenous. And those were just getting them on the stepping stone. But yesterday I actually had 2 non-Indigenous people in my office who were shooting photos for the upcoming drop. It's the university drop. And we were just having fun with it. And that's what I wanted to get them in, so that they could show that It's much more than just Indigenous people wearing my clothing.